Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, this episode's obviously kind of like a mournful episode. There's a lot of other things going on, but first off, we'll kind of start off with the mournful stuff, because obviously, everyone's kind of finding out, Mick is dead. It's so interesting, because I didn't correlate it in the last episode of everything Terry was seeing. I was like, I had a vision of dad being dead, and lo and behold, he's dead. And we kind of see how everyone's kind of processing it, where it'd be like Bunchy and Daryl. It's like, oh, well, want to get a casket? We can't get a casket. There's nothing to bury. He was ashes. It's like, want an urn? Well, we can't put him in an urn because there's nothing there. Do you want to get an eternal, what was it, those eternal flames or whatever? And it's like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, Daryl's like, Bunchy, what do you want to do? Bunchy's like, I don't know, because Daryl's like, I don't know what I'm going to do either. He's like, maybe get the eternal flame, or maybe get the urn. You know what? We'll do both. Having to make decisions like that, trying to get a photo. Even that moment of Daryl telling his mom, hey, we're going to have I need you to be here. Could you be here for me, Mom, about this whole, Mickey situation? Because you're trying to get a picture about, Mickey from his mom. Maybe something when he was younger. And that in itself is a whole complicated thing, especially when he goes to see Terry. Because out of any, this is something I really thought was kind of neat throughout the episode, is the fact is there's a very, very complicated relationship Mickey has with all his kids. Because, it's like Daryl is probably the only one who probably loves his dad despite, they kind of all do, but I feel like if you had to put it on a totem pole, I'll probably say from love to kind of hate, I'd probably put it Daryl and Bunchy kind of go hand in hand, but I'd still put I'd go Daryl, Bunchy, Terry, Ray. I think that'd be the order of who loved him to who kind of hated him, who loved him still but hated him a lot. I think Ray's definitely at the top of that list of hating him, but nevertheless, I think Daryl's in that complicated situation of him. Mickey being dead just reminds everyone of especially for Terry, it's just a reminder of because Daryl's oh, you only got these pictures, none of these pictures got me. And it's like, well, yeah, because the last photo I have of him is before my mom died, and he was off kind of doing things with your mom, and he made a different strokes reference of you wanted that, you should have taken it yourself, which over Daryl's wow, and he bounces just because obviously it's a thing of all right, you're dealing with shit your own way, but it's also it brings up some sore wounds about the fact is of oh, you want a happy family photo of all of us together or something, because it's oh, this is the photo where it's you were kind of the well-kept secret to a certain degree, so it's it was never a thing you're never going to have a photo of everyone together, because you were kind of the child of the woman that he was having an affair with, especially because we learn even more so why Ray kind of hates Mickey so much, because he's telling this therapists that story about how his mom has got cancer and he's trying to contact his dad, but none of them can because Ray is the one who's mainly looking after his mom. He's 10 years old. He gets a little help from his sister Bridget, but I'm curious how long that lasts, because obviously eventually at some point in that time frame, Bridget, their sister killed herself, so I'm wondering where that kind of falls in the timeline of everything. But still, even Ray himself was it was mostly me, but I'm wondering, is that because Bridget had eventually, while their mom was sick, Bridget had decided to, so I'm wondering if that's why it mostly fell to him, because I guess he is the second oldest, so I guess that all kind of fell on him after that. Once again, I don't remember the time frame. I don't know if they've ever really gone too much into detail about that. Obviously it's something that Ray's kind of talked about a little bit, and even Mickey's brought it up a tiny bit, but not to the same extent, Nevertheless, circling back to it, the whole point of it was that, Ray talks about, the fact is, his mom, was in so much pain. She ended up peeing herself in the bed, and he goes down to go get a towel, and lo and behold, who does he find? He finds Mickey dipping in the cookie jar, taking out about $500, pats Ray on the head, and bounces. So obviously, those stories kind of, those are things that we've kind of picked up a little bit over the years, so you can understand Ray's resentment, and that kind of makes even the whole aspect of Ray being I forgive you. And Mickey being like, what you've done to me? It's like, what you did to your family. It's like, well, you did some effed up stuff. He tries to say like, hey, I wasn't a perfect father, but I was there. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, now you kind of look back on it, you're like, yeah, you were there in some moments, but you weren't there in the moments where it really, really mattered. Because at that point, Ray was like, I hadn't seen him in a month. He does that, bounces. It's like, of course you're going to have some deep seated resentment when it comes to stories like that, so, which obviously that kind of talks about, what Ray's going through this episode, because he has very mixed emotions, talking to his therapist and everything, and it's just kind of like, he's drinking again, which it seems like he stopped for a long time, but now that, because he has these very complex emotions, because it's like, obviously he loved his dad. Despite everything, Mickey's still his dad, but man, Mickey fucked up bad as a dad. He was kind of shitty at being a dad, and it's just kind of like so many headaches and problems in Ray's life. A lot of Ray's own issues stem from his dad, so it's like he's got that, I feel like amongst anyone, like I said, Terry's probably second, but it's like Ray amongst anyone has the most, now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Ray's not, I was thinking earlier, I think I said Ray was the oldest. I was like, no, Terry's the oldest. I'm stupid. Because I know Bunchy's the baby, but it's like Ray was which I don't know. Or is Ray the oldest? Ray isn't the oldest. I know Bridget was the oldest, but I think Terry's the oldest. I think, and Bridget, Terry, Ray, then Bunchy, then Daryl. I think. I actually don't remember now. I feel so stupid because I said he was the oldest at the time, but I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it was Terry, wasn't it? I could be wrong. Regardless of all that, it's circling back what I said, like I said, Ray's issues are all stemming from Mickey, so it's a complicated thing, especially knowing like, hey, your dad died. Not only did he died in a very brutal way. An explosion, burst into flames, nothing left to bury type of thing. So it's kind of like, that's pretty gnarly. And even when Ray was waiting to get some of his dad's stuff, he's looking through it, looking at it. You can tell like, oh, there's something sentimental there. And he feels it for a moment. And then immediately afterwards, he was sitting there and then he just threw it away. Because I guess just for him, it was like I'm not going to have any sympathy for you. Like you're kind of, once again, you were a shitty dad and shitty person. So there's all of that. But then let's also talk about Bunchy being the hero today. Like there was a robbery. Your boy stood up and took charge and did good, which is interesting. You can find the irony behind that, considering like the criminal stuff that he's gotten into, especially because him and Mickey literally robbed people last season, so it's ironic. But at the same time, I guess it is a situation of like, I guess for Bunchy, it's kind of representing the fact is he's going through something right now and everyone kind of acts out in their own way. And in his case, it's like, I'm going to be a hero and everything because I got nothing to live for, so he has nothing to be scared of. It's like, I literally just lost my dad. It's like, yeah, for him, it's like, dad wasn't always there, but he kind of was always there, He's been with me ever since I was a kid, and now to kind of him not to be there. But Bunchy kind of saving the day, even being on reports on the news and stuff like that, and you see Ray watching it, and I'm like, that's still got to be like, that's fucking Bunchy on TV. Like, I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't say anything. I just thought that was kind of interesting to have Bunchy be the hero. And like no one else kind of acknowledges that. I'm curious to see what that storyline ends up turning into. Maybe it'll turn into something. Maybe it'll turn into nothing. It'll be interesting if he ends up meeting with Ferrati, who's, is the mayor and everything. And it seems like that's the type of thing where like the mayor will come and congratulate you type of thing, which is interesting because obviously the mayor's got connection to your brother, So I'm like, I don't know if that'll turn into something or not. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting aspect to this whole situation. There's a whole aspect of dealing with, the dead cop situation from last season. So it's like, okay, so now that's reared its ugly head, and we have a detective looking into this who she's following Ray around because obviously he's the number one suspect in all of this. So they're trying to cover up. Well, for one, the whole point was to put all of this on Mickey, but now that he's dead, well, what do we do now? Well, we have to spin it and put it on someone else, and they decided to put it on McGrath. So Ray goes visits his family. It's like, okay, you can't get McGrath's pension, so whatever that pension is, we'll cover it. So it's like we're going to twist the story and make it seem like McGrath was the one who killed all these cops. They're coming up with this backstory of like why he did it, because obviously he was hands-on with all the dirty stuff going on, but he's making it so that McGrath couldn't live with that all. So he tried to do the right thing in the end. And obviously Amber has this very complicated situation because obviously her and Mac had a very complicated relationship, but it's still a thing of like, she felt bad about it, but it's like, hey, if I'm gonna get the money to take care of my family, at least there's some silver lining to it, you know. And even that whole thing, and you know it's gotta suck too, because obviously like Jimmy's like, oh hey Ray, like obviously there's some kinship there because obviously he spent enough time around Mac that like Jimmy and him are pretty tight, you know. So it's like, which you can tell that also makes Ray kind of feel bad, because also at the same time he's dealing with the whole Kevin Sullivan thing, which is like, I'm not going to go through with this deal. Here's 1.5 million. Get me those pictures. And he's like, I can't negotiate on the mayor's behalf. But it's like, think about what this will do to my family. Do you even think about that? Do you even care? But it's like, obviously that hits Ray, because obviously this is about family. And also at the same time, it's like, I'm sure he's thinking, you know, as from the perspective of a father, but also from the perspective of being a son. Because, you know, obviously he's, you know, drinking because he's dealing with the whole Mickey situation, because obviously he's drinking because, like I said, he feels complicated of like, you know, why should I feel sad for, you know, Mickey being dead? So I think maybe he's kind of projecting his own issues about Mickey onto Kevin, which is kind of like, I don't know. And the lady that was there with Kevin was like, wait, you don't remember me? And I'm like, what's that all about? It's like, you must know who my father is, which, are we referencing, it's been so damn long, are we referencing Home Dude from season 1? James Woods' character? What's his name, Sullivan? It's like, that's why he recognizes Ray. Is that his sister? Is that who that is? Maybe that's what it's supposed to be? I mean, I don't know what to make of that. Because I heard the name Sullivan, and he's like, oh, you know, by now you must know who my father is. I'm like, is that who he's referencing? Did he have any family left? I don't remember. That was so damn long ago. And I mean, because I know the storyline for this is old enemies coming out of the woodwork. So I'm assuming this must have to deal with his family. Because didn't they just call him Sully? Which immediately just makes me think of Uncharted. I might have missed, because I can't hear him say that this episode makes me think like, yeah, you're James Woods' character's son in this show. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they would just call him Sully, but that was like so damn long ago. And obviously there's beef between obviously the Donovans, and you know that runs deep. I actually have to go back because there was like some complicated stuff between their family beef. I don't remember all the details because it's been so long, but you know, regardless, I'll kind of like look up some stuff to kind of refresh my memory. But regardless, all of that's kind of happening. Like I said, it's just all happening kind of at the worst time. Obviously, there's the whole thing with Stu being like, I want you to take care of this kid. He's stalking her, which it seems like there's not a stalking situation. It seems like they might be legitimately in a relationship. It must be like Stu being possessive like he is, because, well, Stu's possessive. And that's never stopped being a thing, because Ray, being drunk, beats up the dude, and she's like, what did he tell you? Stu, he's not the problem. Stu's the problem. So Stu's probably skewing everything because of like, this is we don't understand the 100% of the dynamics, but it must be him playing like a reducer role or something, and he's being super creepy, and he wants her all to himself, and he doesn't want some quote unquote creepo creeping on his quote unquote property type of thing. We all know Stu's a scumbag, so I'm interested to see what that ends up turning into. If anything, it might be kind of like a subplot the entire episode, but we'll see. Regardless, so circling around the whole aspect of like, all right, we got to come up with some cover stories, and they're trying to, you know, it's like Bridget, Lena, and Smitty all sitting around brainstorming some ideas, and Smitty's like, hey, like Ray cooked something for us last time, and even Lena was like, wait, he did? I think because for her, I guess she was surprised to hear Ray cooked or whatever, but I guess it's like a thing of like, oh, we could say that was a dinner. It's like, Lena's like, nah, like family being family is a complicated thing. Like family being your alibi, family vouching for family with the alibi gets into a complicated thing and doesn't always work out. But then they're like, oh, we went to that Jonathan Kid's concert. It's like, all right, so they go visit the dude. I forgot home dude from last episode, who, you know, kind of works with, I guess maybe he's like a producer or whatever. And I love it. And that Jonathan Kidd is singing and stuff like that. And it's like, literally the lyrics to the chorus is, I just came to. Okay. I don't even know what a fuckboy is. But I literally look at him like, that seems like a fuckboy. Like, you know, and like I said, this is coming from someone, he just seems like, and just like the producer just being like, yeah, when I hear this song, it's like, yeah. I even love Lena. I didn't know whether Lena left because of the whole Bridget and her ball situation, or whether it was just kind of like hearing that kid's song was just kind of like, I need to get the hell out of here. Regardless, it did seem like there was something there between Bridget and her boss. I even love Lena being like, so what's up with you and your boss? She's like, what? Nothing. It's just kind of like, she's like, please don't get pregnant. She's like, Jesus, not by your boss, not by Smitty, which is kind of like, oh, that's, I guess, because it's like, yeah, Smitty's cool and all, but just don't. I'm just looking out for your future and everything. I don't want you to kind of get tied down by these particular situations. And I'm like, huh. I was like, oh, I mean, I get it, Lena playing the role, Lena being big sis Lena, looking out for Bridget. She even talks about the fact that she plans on moving back to LA. I guess it's just kind of like, there's just nothing here for her anymore. Don't forget, the person she was with was murdered last season, so. But for her, it's just like, Ray at the very least has all his family here, and the Donovan family isn't necessarily Lena's family. For her, it's like, I have no reason to be here. I'm tired of being alone. So she just, probably plans on going back to LA, kind of settling down, finding something, is kind of what I'm sure that's all going to, come down to. So, but, yeah. So they kind of got that covered, set up. They're going to get some ticket stubs to prove that, hey, they were there. But the complicated thing about setting Mac up is that Amber feels bad about it and she doesn't want to do it. She's like, I can't turn him into a murderer. Like, Jimmy's already got to deal with so much already. I can't do this more to him. Because Ray had told him when he had left the second time to be like, your dad was a good guy and he loves you very much. That's what he told me. So I just want you to know, because even complicated, like, Mac was in over his head. Is like, I mean, granted, Mac did some shitty stuff. It's like, you kidnapped my daughter, you even hit her. But for him, it's still the thing of like, Mac was there for him. If it wasn't for Mac, he wouldn't be here right now. He tried to kill himself. Mac was able to pull him back in. He found a friendship, It was kind of like complicated is the word of the day. To be fair, complicated is literally the biggest descriptor for this show. Dysfunctional and complicated, I should rather say. But, he had a friend in Mac. So even he feels guilty about this, considering like, I'm kind of basically destroying your reputation because you were the guy that saved me. So it's kind of ironic. I'm using this to kind of using you now to save me again by covering from all the, murders me and my family committed and the effect of us covering it all up. But because Amber couldn't do it, and it's like, no, he's like, okay, it's okay. And she's like, you can come get your money. He's like, no, you keep it. It's kind of like Mac wanted you to be looked after. And like, at the very least, I think for Ray, it's like, I owe you that much at least. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So obviously it's like, yep, using Mac as a scapegoat isn't going to work. So there's that. And then we have, Ray stumbling in drunk, and obviously everyone's telling all these good stories because Bunchy's like, hey, he was kind of a shit father, but Mickey was actually a good grandfather. So, and then Ray tells a story he told his therapist and stuff like that. And, and it seems awkward and it's just like, ugh. But then, kind of showing you how messed up they all are, they start laughing, and Smitty and Bridget are sitting there like, oh, Jesus. Even Smitty's like kind of uncomfortable because they're all laughing, because it's like, yeah, the moment he got out, he shot a priest. It's actually, he shot the wrong priest. And then, Bunchy had added that, and Daryl's like, no, I thought Ray shot the priest. Bunchy was like, a different priest. And Terry's like, I'm actually the only one who hasn't shot a priest. And Ray being like, we need to find you a priest. And just, they're laughing about it. It's like, this is so morbid. But I think, you could probably say like, that's just how they deal with stuff, and it, like I said, in an effed up way, it is a bit of a funny turn of events, because he's even like, oh, like, the fact of the matter is, that's what's up with being, Mickey. The fact is, it's like, yeah, he dismembered some cops and threw some body parts in the water, and just some fishermen happened to find him. It's like, yeah, that's the problem with, Mickey. There's not always a happy ending with any story connected to him, unless it's his own happy ending. And then they're laughing and joking about that. And it's like, I don't know, there was like some beauty to the messed upness of it. And even Ray kind of being like, to Mickey Donovan, may he rest in fucking peace. And I thought that was kind of a neat element, and you could tell like Ray's just kind of choking back the tears and everything. And it's like, it's been choking. He's been dealing with it the entire episode. So that's been pretty rough. And then lo and behold, knock, knock, who's there? hey, it's Mickey, he's alive, and Ray punches him in the face. Rightfully so, because it's like, I've literally spent the entire day mourning you. Literally all spent all day mourning you. I've been kind of conflicted and torn up about all this, and you're alive. Side note, I knew Mickey was alive. Once again, I wish I had not watched the trailers. I always want to know what the new season's about, but I kind of wish I never, because like I already knew Mickey was alive because just the context of the trailer and stuff like that. So, but then part of me was starting to think, like, I was thinking like, okay, so, maybe Mickey really is dead. I mean, that bus is burnt to shit. So it's like, maybe he didn't actually get out. I was like, maybe the fact is Ray's just seeing him all season long or something like that. That's what I was thinking. Much like he was seeing Abby for a while, and obviously even Terry started hallucinating seeing him. So I thought maybe that had something to do with it. But no, it turns out Mickey's alive. And I guess the next episode we'll kind of learn about how the hell he managed to survive. So, setting up a lot of very, very interesting storylines. I'm curious to ultimately see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.